reminder, obviously upcoming schedules. Where do you know people in other cities? You can put people in the trainings. That's all I'm doing. How can I put more people in the trainings? How can I put more people in the trainings? How can I put more people in the trainings? That's what makes your business grow. I remember Derek Smith, he came to me. He was an executive sales director. He had a goal, and he had made it to executive sales director in his 11th month in the business. That's a great accomplishment, right? And then he comes to me and said, man, I had a goal to be a vice president in 12 months. I said, so what you're telling me is you want to go from 50,000 to 100,000 in 1 month? You want to double. Well, just so you know, Derek, and I'm not trying to discourage you, but no one else in the company's ever done that, okay? So just a side note. He goes, well, is it possible? I said, well, there's only one way it could be possible. You'll have to get at least 50 people to the next SOS training. That's what you'd have to do. Just what you got to do. You got to get at least 50 people to the next SOS training. So that's what he did. And the next month, he became a vice president. Because people that leave the trainings are more productive than people who don't go to trainings. That's just how it is. People leave here, they talk more, they try more, they give a better effort because they have more energy. How many of you have more energy now than you did before you came? Right? There's people in this room right now that haven't even signed up as an agent yet. There's people that just came to the training to get educated and learn. They weren't even agents when they came in. And now they're either agents as of yesterday, or they just are committed saying, yep, I'm in, I'm ready to go, I want to make it happen, just by being in the training. And I've had the same result. If somebody doesn't sign up as an agent and just feels they want to get more information, I'll encourage them just to come to the training first, because I have 100% ratio, 100% of the people that come to the training, 100% of the people I've had come to the training prior to being agents became agents. There's nothing wrong with that either. So you got to go in, set this up, go into your fesprotectionplan.com. You click and go to the website. At the top it says join. You got to join. Then you're going to put in personal information that's going to be required. And then it's going to ask you to put a credit card up, which is going to charge you $1. And that's just to authenticate you and your credit profile. It's a one-time $1 because you're paying $87 a month for the protection plan, so it's inclusive. And now you're going to have access to your credit score. You're going to have access to your credit reports, which is a very important thing in this day and age, to know what your credit score is, to know how to go look at your credit reports and have that availability. So that's coming within your protection plan. Then we also have a credit attorney available in the appropriate situation. Because again, you're going to have credit bureaus a lot of times, they're just not going to do what they're supposed to do. You could have a legitimate item that's supposed to have come off your credit report years ago. It hasn't come off. For whatever reason, they won't take it off. No matter what happens that the company does in disputing it, it doesn't come off. Well, you're going to have a credit attorney who's going to file a claim against the credit bureaus. And the credit bureaus pay out money all the time in settlements because, again, it's less money than actually going through the whole process. So there's a chance, even in this situation, if you have a legitimate action, that you could actually get money back from the credit bureaus. Keep in mind, all of this is at no additional fee to you. You're not paying an hourly rate to an attorney to actually step in and represent you if they need to take the action to make sure your credit reports are accurate. 80% of all credit reports have errors on them because items oftentimes that should fall off don't, in addition to other errors. But that's one of the biggest ones. Like you could have a bankruptcy that's supposed to come off in 10 years. People have bankruptcies on there for 15 years, 20 years that they just haven't come off. That's a perfect example of they're not taking it off as they should, even though the company's done everything they can. That's where a credit attorney can step in and help you with that. In addition, if you have a collection situation going on, a lot of collectors do it illegally. They're not licensed in the state that they're trying to collect money in, and they use abusive tactics. All of that can be handled by the credit attorneys, and those collectors could be sued for damages as well. So that's a service that's provided within the protection plan, and of course, all of these things are related to helping you with your credit. The next service that's within your protection plan is Debt Zero. This will also help you with your credit. So when you think about helping people to get the best credit score possible. All of the services we've talked about so far within the protection plan are helping you with that. But so is Debt Zero, because if you can help people to pay down their debts, what's going to happen to their credit score? It's going to go up. So this is another great service to encourage your people to utilize. And it's a real simple process. The first thing you got to do is you got to get together all of your debts, all of your liabilities, put them together. Maybe you only have a few, and some people have a lot. You might have 5, 6, 7 things. You might have some school loans, some credit cards, you got a house payment, you got a car payment, you have some things you're paying off, maybe you got some medical bills you're paying off. Whatever it is, pull all that together. See, when you go through this process, it is going to take you some time, depending on how much you have. Could take you 45 minutes, could take you an hour, could take you 2 hours. It's really, though, a one-time thing, meaning once you enter and you do the work and the tedious part of it by putting in all the things that are required, like your interest rate and your principal and what you pay monthly, once you do that, then it's really just a matter of updating it and monitoring it. But you don't have to do all the work over again because you've already entered it in the system. Now, you have two options. One, you may have something specifically that you want to pay off, and so that accelerated may be something you choose. I want to pay this debt off first. Or you can let the system guide you as to what should be paid off first. And how is it going to make that decision? It's going to make that decision by your interest rate. It's going to make that decision. It's going to try to pay off the things that are costing you the most. Because when you pay off the things that cost you the most first, then obviously you're not wasting as much money. But then also now you have that money to apply to your next debt, which then can accelerate the process. And that's what we want to help you to do. Now, once you enter all your information, you're going to run what we call a Get Out of Debt report. That report is going to allow you to see a comparison as to the way you're currently paying your bills and as to if you follow the. We're going to start out and we're going to go through the protection plan. We're going to go through the products of the protection plan. And we're going to spend a little bit of time getting you educated on some of these things. But also you've got to take the responsibility of getting educated. And there's a number of ways to do this. If you go to fesprotectionplan.com, there is a plethora of information there to read and go through and digest. So that's a great website because it covers all of the products that are within the protection plan. But then you have some additional products that aren't in the protection plan, like a rental karma product or the secured card that we offer people. You're going to find those things if you go to myfes.net, your website, and then you go under products. All the products are going to be there. And if you click on those products, there'll also be information for you to be able to read and learn about that product and get educated. Then you can also go to united-credit.org, united-credit.org, and you can go there and read the information. So a lot of times people will call me up and say, Greg, I have a question about credit restoration. I'll say, well, did you go to united-credit.org and look under your frequently asked questions? Because I don't want to answer questions if I don't have to. I want to direct people to where they'll find the answers. We tend to be in the habit of wanting to tell people or answer questions. When you build your business, only answer questions that cannot be found or answered by someone else. If you can take a phone call or a text and you cannot answer the question but answer it simply by guiding somebody to where they can find it themselves, that is the best way to duplicate an organization. I don't get paid to answer questions. I get paid to coach and guide people to where the answers are. And that's how I view it. Because otherwise, if you answer the questions, they'll never look for it themselves. They'll just continue to call you every time they have a question. Now, obviously, I do answer questions in relation to strategy and sponsor placement and where do I place sales. That's different because you're not going to find that because each situation is unique, right? Every time you want to do sponsor placement, that's a unique situation. So that's a discussion you have to have with your upline. That involves coaching and strategy and so forth. But when it comes to things that are black and white, things that are just, it is what it is, you got to go get the answers because they're there and they're all on those websites I just mentioned. Now, within the protection plan, and that's our flagship product. When somebody asks me what our flagship product is, it's our protection plan. What is our core product that's within the protection plan? Of course, it's credit restoration. That's the definite most appealing product that we offer within the protection plan. We're going to go over how to sell credit restoration. I'm only going to give you a quick education on it right now. But how credit restoration works is we're basically leveraging a client, consumer, their rights. And why do they need rights? They need rights because credit bureaus are privately held companies that unfortunately have a manual process. It's a flawed process. And what they simply don't do as they should is they don't verify items that are reported to them. Therefore, there is a chance misinformation can be. Keep in mind, credit bureaus make money two ways. They make money when a business has to deal with a client and they pull a credit report. That's how credit bureaus make money. They charge for that. They also make money when a business reports to them. So a company pays money to put items on your credit report. Credit bureaus do not make money fixing credit, verifying credit. Those are all expenses. They're expenses. So of course, like most businesses, they don't want expenses. They only want revenue. So therefore, they basically ignore the process that they really should do because it's just an expense. And believe it or not, since the legislation has been put into place, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, bureaus still ignore the process and literally pay fines to the FTC on a regular basis for not being compliant with that process. But they don't care because that's less money. So having to put out millions of dollars towards a fine, believe it or not, is a cost-effective approach for them in relation to rather putting together a process that verifies every item that is reported to the credit bureau. So being that it's a flawed process, therefore all of us as consumers have rights to dispute and or investigate any item that is on your credit profile. Okay? Now, that's what we're doing. Could anybody do this? Could somebody on their own do this? Do they need United Credit to do it? Do they need FES to do it? No, they don't need the company to do it. However, the reason why they want to utilize us, it's the same reason why most of us in here don't wash our own cars. How many of you feel like you're capable of washing your own car? How many of you take your car somewhere to be washed? Exactly. Even though you could do it, you don't because it's inconvenient, it's too much work, you don't necessarily have all the tools and instruments to make it happen fast and effective, so you go somewhere else and you pay someone else money. Same thing, except one step further. This is a lot more complicated than a car wash. You got to know the appropriate legal language to use. You got to know what the credit bureaus will respond to because they won't just respond to just anything. This process is very valuable to the consumer because they're not even aware of how the process really works. I mean, there are people still to this day who believe credit bureaus are government agencies just because they're called bureaus. We've got to educate people. Now, when somebody becomes a customer, they have all this great value afforded to them. Like, for instance, the company's going to pull their credit. So you're going to have somebody be able to look at your credit profile and know what has to get done for you to increase your credit score. So you're going to get an analysis of your credit file. So it's not just about producing dispute letters, but it's also understanding the other components that you can do to increase your credit score. So for instance, you might have something on your credit report, and this happens quite often, something from the past. You may not even realize this. You owe $129 that's sitting on there from a phone bill from 8 years ago that's being reported, that's dragging down your credit score. And literally, if you paid that $129, it would be closed and they would take it off your credit report. But people don't even know that kind of thing exists. So then the company could say, hey, look, if you'll pay off this $129, this is going to come off right away. That's going to increase your credit score. So in addition to the actual dispute process, you also have the analysis of your entire credit profile. Because what do we want to provide our clients and what do we want to have as clients? It's not so much getting all the negative items off. Yes, we do want that. But it's really about increasing our. If you told people that they could go from a 650 to an 820 but all the negative items would have to stay in their credit report, they'd be like, okay. I mean, like, they just want a high credit score. Now, of course, we know that wouldn't be possible for those negative items to stay on, but my point is, people more than anything else want to increase their credit score. So if you get off all the negative items and they still have a low credit score, they're not going to be satisfied. They're not going to be happy with the service. They're not going to be happy because negative items come off. They're going to be happy because their credit score goes up. That's what they're most interested in. So when you understand the process, it isn't just about getting negative items off. And as good agents, too, those are things you have to be aware of when you're working with your clients, because some of your clients may need additional trade lines like Rental Karma. That's valuable because what does that do? Add a positive trade line to increase a credit score. What else? A secured card. Or they may not just have really any credit. So you can help people to go out. I did this with my son, and this was really powerful. So when he turned 18, we went to Capital One. Capital One provides you a lot of options. You can go there and you can get, for bad credit, they have an option. You can go and get, well, I'm just trying to build credit. You can go if you have great credit. So my son, he's trying to build credit. So he got a credit card, unsecured credit card for $300. And I told him, if you just make the monthly payments every month and never have the credit card go above the 30% range, so on this card, you do not want to go above, don't go above $70. Just put something on it for about $70, pay it off. Do that for about 5 months in a row, and that will have an incredible impact on your credit. And not only that, this credit card will go up significantly. And sure enough, it did. In 5 months, his $300 went to $1,500. Now, my son right now is just turned 20. He has 4 cards, and he has credit of over $20,000. Now, he doesn't use it because he's already programmed and taught well, but he's got a 780 credit score. He's 20. I mean, I didn't have a credit score like that at 20 because I didn't know better. I was damaging my credit at that time. I was buying clothes from Chess King at that time. So these things are important. You're going to receive your dispute letters as a consumer. You're going to have it on an ongoing basis. And I can't emphasize this enough, and I can't emphasize this enough for you to instill this in your clients. One of the keys to making this program work successfully, and this is where a lot of people drop the ball, is you got to make sure that whatever correspondence you receive from the credit bureaus, you got to send it back to the company. Because the company is only going to pull your credit one time. One time. And keep in mind, when you see your initial score, you get your service, you see your initial score, whatever it is, 550, 650, whatever that is, you're not going to see that score go up. So when you go in your back office, go, man, it's not working, it's not working. How come I'm not seeing my score go up? Because that score isn't going to go up. The company's not pulling your credit again. They're not adjusting it. You got to use the credit monitoring for that, and we'll get to that in a minute. That score is one time. They're pulling your credit one time. And in order for the company to know what the credit bureaus are doing in relation to your disputes, they have to get your reports back. They have to get the correspondence back. And if you don't send it back, they have no idea where the credit bureaus are in relation to disputes. So what are they going to do? In 60 days, the company's going to send you another package, and it's going to be the same exact package as they sent the first time. They're not going to be able to modify it because they don't know what to modify. If you had 3 items deleted, they're still going to have those 3 items on your dispute package because they don't know that they're off your credit. If you send your information back to the company, then they can make adjustments to your dispute package. They can look at it and say, okay, these 3 items have been disputed and deleted. We're going to take those off. We're not going to include those on the next round. We're also going to change up the language we use because we know what the company is doing, meaning that United Credit and FES, they can react, right, to what the credit bureaus are doing. If you do not send your information back, they can't react to it because they have no idea. They're working in the blind. So one of the most important things that you got to educate your clients on, and you yourself, you're a client, you got to do this, is you're the middle person in the process. You're getting a package from the company. You're going to sign the letters you receive. You're going to address the envelopes. You're going to stamp the envelopes. You're going to mail off the letters to the credit bureaus. Now, why? The credit bureaus don't like to deal with third-party people. like attorneys, like any third-party organization. What they found to be more effective is that when the consumer themselves is sending the letter, which is why the company sends it to you directly for your signature and for you to put on your address, and it's coming back to you. Now it's at the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus have 30 days to respond. That's the way the laws are written. They have 30 days to respond. So you should get back in the mail within 30 days, maybe a few days after that, you should get back in the mail a response. That could be credit reports saying what they did. Did they verify the item? Did they delete the item? They could be what we call, and they use tactics. They're trying to stop you from sending letters in. So they'll send you discouragement letters. That's what I call it. So the credit bureau will send and say, oh, we don't believe that this is you. We think this is some kind of fraudulent activity. And all they're trying to do is discourage you from disputing the items because it's a headache to them. It's an expense to them. They don't want to do it. So, of course, if they put a little fear into you, you go, oh, yeah, I don't want to mess with that. Oh, my gosh. And then you stop sending letters, and then they've done their job. You don't care what they send you, whether it's a discouragement letter, whether it's a credit report, whatever they send you, take it, send it back to the company. Because the company is going to look at that discouragement letter, and they're going to respond to it. And they're going to send that response to you, and then all you're going to do, once again, is sign it and send it off to the credit bureaus. If you'll do your job, which is receive information from the company, send it to the credit bureaus, receive information from the credit bureaus, and send it to the company, and just continue to do that, you will have great results with the service. You've got to teach your clients to do that. You've got to teach your clients to do that. Talk to them about that because they're going to get much better results if they do that, because the letters are going to be modified and adjusted. And some of you in here, I know that you haven't been doing that, and you'll know if you haven't, you're getting the same letters each time. And you might even be saying, why am I getting the same letters every time? Because the company is not pulling your credit. Other than that one time, they have no idea what's going on unless you enlighten them with the information that you're receiving. Now, this also relates to the online tracking, because it's great that we have a client portal that you can log into, but if you do not send back the information to United Credit, there is no updated online tracking to follow, because all the information that you're going to see in your tracking system is all related to what you send back to the company. You'll go there, and what will you see? You'll see the initial credit score you've been seeing all along. What else will you see? You'll see a list of all the negative items that you had initially when they started the program. What else will you see? That's it. You ain't going to see what's been deleted, because they don't know what's been deleted unless you send back your information. If you send back your information, then your tracking system will allow you to monitor your progress. If you don't send back your information, it's not going to update. So it's only updating based upon the information you're sending back to them. Why do we have the highest success rate in the industry and the fastest results? It's real simple. A lot of companies, especially the bigger ones that take monthly payments, the uniqueness about what we do as compared to other companies is those other companies are more focused on how much money they can collect versus how fast they can produce a result. What they do is when they get somebody to sign up for their service, let's say it's $99 per month, they're only going to dispute a couple of the negative items. So if somebody's got 30 negative items, they're only going to dispute 2 of them. And then 60 days later, 2 of them. And 60 days later, 2 of them. Therefore, they're going to keep you in the program for as long as possible at $99 a month. Whereas what we do, regardless of whether you have 2 negative items or 50 negative items, we dispute all of your items right from the beginning. Right from the beginning. So that, of course, allows us to have faster results, because you don't have to wait, because obviously it's going to take some. If they're only getting a couple of items disputed at a time, because you got negative items on there for a few years because they're not even being disputed. Whereas all of our items are being disputed from day one. That speeds up the process, makes it more effective, and obviously we're getting a higher result in the industry because of that one thing. In addition to being effective, in terms of what we write on the letters and so forth. The credit side of it comes with a satisfaction guarantee. And we'll talk more about that as it relates to selling credit restoration a la carte. In order to get the satisfaction guarantee, it has to be the full-priced product, the $399, $499 service. It's not a satisfaction guarantee per se on the protection plan because they're paying it on a monthly basis. It's on the full-priced product. So it's not that the company doesn't believe in its service. Obviously, they do, whether it's in the protection plan or whether it's the full-price product. But that's the only way they can really track it, because within the protection plan, you get an array of other services as well. And in order for the company to hold up the standards and the integrity of everything else, they don't provide a satisfaction guarantee on the protection plan. Another missed item, and this is very important. If people have questions about their credit reports, if people have questions about the service itself, have them call the company. I very rarely communicate with my customers in relation to the service. Yeah, I might talk to them about what's going on. Have you been sending back your documents to the company? Doing follow-up with some of those things, but I'm not talking to them about what's on their credit report or what they can do to better increase their credit score once the company knows what their profile is. I'm trying to engage the client with the company. And the company, by the way, does a great job of doing that for you anyway. I don't have to communicate with my clients. You know, of course I will, because I want to, again, get referrals and things of that nature. But make sure that when people are calling you up, have them call the company. That's what they do. That's their area of expertise. They know credit. Our job is to go and educate more clients, to go get more customers for the company. But let the company do their job. That kind of takes you through credit restoration. Then you have, within your protection plan, positive credit builder. Because once again, getting negative items off your credit profile is not going to be enough if you don't have positive credit. You realize if you have nothing but negative credit, and even if they take off every negative item, you'll still have bad credit, because no credit is bad credit. So there's got to be an additional means of building positive credit. And positive credit builder is really an education about how credit works, how does a credit score derived, understanding the components of a credit score, because a lot of people think a credit score is just, I pay my bills on time. Well, believe it or not, that's only 35% of your credit score. So if you pay your bills on time, but the other 65% of what you do is not good, you're still going to have damaged credit, even though you pay your bills on time. That's why some people are like, I don't understand how my credit score is so low. I pay my bills on time. Well, because look at your limit ratio, which makes up 30% of your credit score. You could have a credit card that has a $5,000 limit. You put $4,000 on it every single month, and you say, well, I pay it off every month, so that should give me good credit. Believe it or not, it doesn't, because what's reporting to the credit bureaus every month is $4,000, and so now it looks like you have a 90% maxed out card. You would be better off having multiple cards, and if you are going to pay them off every month, and you had $5,000, you're better off having 3 or 4 $5,000 cards, putting $1,000 on each one, and paying $1,000 off on each month, or have a really high limit. So if you got a really high limit, let's say your limit on a card is 30 grand, and then you have 6,000, 7,000 on it. Well, if you pay that off every month, that's helping your credit score, because it's not going above that 30% range, which is what drags down your credit score. So just keep in mind, there's a multitude of things that make up your credit score other than just paying your bills on time. And that's what we want to help people to do, get educated and build positive credit habits. Then you have smart credit. Smart credit, of course, provides you monitoring of your score and your credit reports. That's really valuable, especially in this day and age when you have so much identity theft, but not just identity theft, but just theft of your card, fraudulent activity on your card. Because sometimes, you know, identity theft is different than just somebody getting access to your credit card and running up charges. And when you have credit monitoring and all of a sudden you see your credit score go down, and you can go in and look at, why did my credit score go down, and you're actually able to see your credit reports 24/7, then you could see, there it is, because it appears in red. It even shows up. So here's the problem right here of why